Frequency Podcast Network. Stories that matter, podcasts that resonate.
So what is going on in this economy? For the country's small and medium-sized businesses under the weight of a trade war. Well, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It is not good. The small business sector is the country's largest employer. It's a massive contributor to economic output. And if you have the combined weight of tariffs, trade issues, and a lack of consumer confidence, well, it's likely going to hammer the economy over the coming months. So much so, there's a pretty good chance we're going to see a recession. The Canadian Federation of Independent Business is predicting a more than 5% contraction in economic output for the second quarter. That's the quarter we're currently in. My name is Mike Eppel, and I spoke to Simon Gauldeault, the Chief Economist and VP of Research at the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, about the findings. Mr. Gauldeault, some of these numbers are quite stark. The first quarter was weak. The second quarter looks downright miserable.
We are forecasting a drop of more than 5% and in annualized quarterly GDP. That would be quite a contraction of the economic activity. For the first quarter of this year, we estimate that the economy grew barely by only 0.8%. Of course, a lot of businesses are currently uncertain about the economy or holding us on the hiring and investment side, and this is going to start having more material impact on the economy, we believe, starting this quarter.
Well, if you contract in Q2 and then maybe I don't know how you bounce back unless everything reverts to pre-tariff times somehow. But I mean, you're looking at a very strong likelihood of a recession this year.
That's correct. We do believe that there is a very high probability of a recession. Now, usually the classic definition of a recession is two consecutive quarters of negative growth for the economy. So because we estimate that in Q1, the growth was very modest, but still there, it would take a contraction not only in Q2, but also in the third quarter of the year. So that remains to be seen if we will go into a recession. But for sure, our current forecast for Q2 is showing that we could start getting on that road, unfortunately, as of now.
I guess part of the problem too, though, or reason why things would slow down so much, it's interesting. We've heard a lot from on the election campaign about investing in Canada and building here at home. But if you're a small business operator and you're under the weight of all of this uncertainty, you're not probably likely putting a lot of money into your business right now, are you?
Exactly. So how can you put a lot of money, especially if you're a small business, and any project, will represent a very sizable chunk of your savings or a very sizable chunk of your borrowing capacity? How are you going to do that in the current context? And of course, all of our forecasts and everyone else's forecasts and expectations are dependent on highly unpredictable events, because as we all know, they depend heavily on when one person at the White House will decide today and next morning and so on. And we've seen that policy can change course very quickly. So all of this is highly uncertain. It's very hard for businesses to predict things. So that's why we end up in a situation where, unfortunately, a lot of things are frozen. And we're seeing, for example, private investment significantly contracting, not just for Q1, that's our estimate, minus 14%, but also for Q2 at close to 20% contraction. And of course, that's not surprising with this very high uncertainty that we're seeing in the economy at the moment.
What are you expecting for pricing? Because we've heard a lot about, tariffs lead to and counter tariffs lead to inflationary pressures. Are you seeing this or expecting that to start to show up in various sectors?
Yeah, you're definitely going to see higher inflation due to to the tariffs and counter tariffs, again, if they materialize and continue to be present. And we have a special analysis in our current quarterly report that we just released today, where we're looking at the ability of firms to pass on tariff-related costs. Now, you have exporting firms that will have a more limited ability to pass on the cost to customers. Like full quarter of businesses say, I have no ability to pass on those costs. And at the other end of the spectrum, you have 9% that say, I can pass on all of the costs to my customers. In between, you have a lot of firms that say, okay, I can pass on just a fraction of those costs. For importing firms, the ability to pass on the cost is a bit more there. Like you have a full 23% that say, okay, I can pass on all of the costs, but still a majority of the firms will pass on less than 100% of the cost to their customers. So they will eat a good sizable share of the costs themselves. That could mitigate to a certain extent the impact on prices and inflation, but there is no question that the current situation is going to lead to higher inflation. At the sector level, the businesses that are the least likely to pass on any costs at all are the agricultural businesses and businesses in arts, recreation, and information and health and education sectors. And at the other end of the spectrum, you have businesses like personal services businesses where 31% will be able to pass on all of the costs, and wholesale businesses, and also arts recreation where you have a full 25% that will be able to pass on all of the costs, as well as construction where this will be done. So it depends really much on the sector, but I would say, to sum it up, that the picture we're seeing is you have businesses in pretty much all different situations. It all depends also on how businesses were able to deal with their different suppliers and customers. What is written in the contracts? Is it being treated as a exceptional event? Is there a clause in the contracts that stipulates that the cost will be divided in such a way? Or did they have to pick up the phone and call all of their business partners and see how this could be negotiated?
Do you foresee a lot of the small and medium-sized business operators, are they on the brink right now? And during COVID, there was a lot of government support because things were being shut down. In this case, it's the fact that again, if the economy slows as much as it is, should there be some sort of a program from the feds or the province or something to sort of weather the storm?
It's a bit of a different situation where businesses aren't entirely prevented from making sales. What we're hoping that the government will do is use this wake-up call to support businesses in a way that is really sustainable. Like we've been talking abundantly recently about tearing down the internal trade barriers.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes moving forward, because yours is one of the first most specific predictive reports I've seen, and the, of course, economic signals trailing indicators that we get. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how, as the months roll on here, how close to the forecast the actual economic results are. And it could be dire. But thank you very much for joining us to talk about this today. Appreciate it. That's Simon Gauldeault, the Chief Economist and VP of Research at the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. My name is Mike Eppel, and you've been listening to In This Economy. And if you have any questions or story ideas, you can email me at mike.eppel, that's E-P-P-E-L, at rci.rogers.com. And on social media, I'm at Eppman, E-P-P-M-A-N, on X. Thanks for listening.